The day it happened, their dad thought he was just coming home from work. He pulled into the driveway the same way he had for the last 20 years. Same street, same house, same tired look on his face after a long shift. But when he stepped out of his car, 3 of his kids were standing there waiting for him, and parked at the edge of the driveway was a car with a red bow on it. He didn't say anything for a long time. He just stood there, and then he started to cry. Before we get to that moment, you need to understand who this man is, because this story doesn't make sense without him. His name is Ray, and for as long as his kids can remember, Ray never bought anything for himself. Not really. He drove the same car for 11 years, a dark blue sedan with a cracked dashboard and a driver's seat that had started to sink on one side. He called it perfectly fine. His kids called it something else. Ray worked the kind of job that starts before most people wake up. Manual work, physical work, the kind that leaves its mark on you over time. In your back, in your knees, in the way you sit down at the end of the day. He had 3 kids, Mara, the oldest, then Daniel, then Cassidy, the youngest, who was still in middle school when all of this started. And the thing you need to know about Ray, the thing that explains everything that follows, is that he spent every single dollar he made on his family, on groceries, on school trips, on sports gear for Daniel, on the art supplies Cassidy kept going through. When his kids wanted something, Ray figured it out. When Ray needed something, he waited. He always waited. It was a Tuesday, not a birthday, not Christmas, just a random Tuesday in February, when everything changed. Mara was 17. She was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework when she heard the front door open. She heard her dad come in, set down his bag, and then just stop. She looked up. He was standing in the hallway with his coat still on, staring at a bill that had come in the mail. He didn't say anything. He just folded it up, put it in his pocket, and went to make dinner. Mara said she couldn't explain it, but something about that moment hit her harder than anything had in a long time. She didn't ask him about the bill. She didn't say anything. She just sat there and thought. And somewhere in that silence, the idea showed up. She went upstairs and opened her laptop. She looked at her savings account. She had about $300 from birthdays and babysitting. She started doing the math. The next morning, Mara sat down with Daniel. He was 15, and if you know anything about 15-year-old boys, you know they are not exactly known for their patience or their ability to keep a secret. But Mara told him what she was thinking, and something shifted in him. He said yes before she even finished. They agreed on a few ground rules. No telling dad, no telling their friends, no spending the money on anything else, no matter what. And every time they got paid for something, a job, a birthday, a holiday, a percentage went into the account. They opened a joint savings account that their dad didn't know existed. They called it the car fund. A few months later, they brought Cassidy in. She was 12 at the time, and she cried when they told her. She was immediately completely committed. What followed was 5 years of small decisions. Mara picked up extra babysitting shifts. She saved birthday money. She skipped things. Not dramatically, not in a way that anyone noticed. But she made choices. Daniel got a part-time job the summer he turned 16. He bagged groceries at a local store. A portion of every paycheck went directly to the account. Cassidy mowed lawns. She walked dogs. She sold handmade bracelets at school that were, by her own admission, only moderately popular. There were close calls. One summer, Ray mentioned he was thinking about selling the car and just using his coworker's truck to get around. All 3 of them panicked in their own quiet way. Mara sat down with him that night and talked him out of it. She told him the car still had life in it. She told him to hold on a little longer. He did. There was a stretch in Daniel's first year of college where the fund barely moved. He was stretched thin. He told Mara he was sorry. She told him not to worry about it, but he kept contributing, even when it was just $20 here and $30 there. Cassidy, somehow, turned into the most disciplined saver of all 3 of them. By the end of high school, she had contributed more than either of her siblings. By the time the number got real enough to actually start looking, Mara had graduated college and was working her first full-time job. Daniel was finishing his degree. Cassidy was a senior in high school. They had been doing this for 5 years. 5 years of allowances and side jobs and saying no to things and saying yes to something much harder to explain. They started looking at cars. Mara took the lead on the research. She knew what her dad needed. Something reliable. Something that wasn't going to break down on the highway, something that wouldn't require money they didn't have to keep it running. She found it, a used car, recently inspected, low miles for the price, clean, inside and out. She sent Daniel the listing at midnight. He replied 30 seconds later. They called Cassidy in the morning. It was done. They planned the reveal for a Sunday. They told Ray they were coming home for a family dinner. Nothing unusual. He made his pasta. The one he always made when all three kids were going to be in the house at the same time. The car was parked at the edge of the driveway. They had asked the neighbor to hold it around the block until the right moment. Cassidy had driven to 3 stores before she found a red bow big enough. When Ray came to the door to let them in, they told him to come outside for a second first. They had something to show him. He followed them out. He saw the car. He looked at it. Then he looked at his kids. Then he looked at the car again. He said, "What is this?" And Mara said, "It's yours, Dad." He didn't move for a long time. When he finally walked toward it and put his hand on the hood, he broke down. He didn't say anything for a while. He just stood there with his hand on that car, crying in the driveway, while his 3 kids stood around him. Later that night, after dinner, after the tears had dried and the bow had been taken off and everyone had taken a turn sitting in the new car in the driveway, Ray asked one question. He said, "How long?" When they told him, 5 years, he went quiet again. He said he had no idea. He said he thought about all the times he probably could have noticed but didn't. All the times they must have said no to something to make this happen. And then he said something that Cassidy remembered word for word. He said, "I spent 20 years trying to give you everything, and you gave it all back." There's a version of this story you could call extraordinary. 3 kids, 5 years, a red bow on a car. But I think what makes it extraordinary isn't the car. It's the 5 years of Tuesday mornings, of $20 transfers and bracelet sales and part-time grocery shifts, of choosing something quiet and invisible over something loud and immediate. Most people talk about what they do for the people they love. These 3 actually did it, and they did it without anyone watching. That's the part I keep coming back to. Nobody was applauding them for 5 years. Nobody was counting along. They just decided on a random Tuesday in February, and they kept going. Thanks for watching.